and what they're doing, what they're causing in the body. So I'd just love to welcome you here on tonight and to know about sugar cravings and how they affect our body and what we can do about them. My name is Wick Nixon, and just to give you a little bit of background on me, I'm super passionate about healthy eating. Food is my absolute passion. If I can inspire and educate people to make healthier choices, and that's something that really makes me happy. I love cooking, but it's all about healthy, nutritious cooking. Ask me to cook a meat and 3 veg meal, and I'm not interested. However, if I'm all about experimenting with new, different ingredients, and if I can show people other ways on how they can be integrating those ingredients into their lives that actually fuel their body, then that's something that really appeals to me. And for those of you that are on my Wicked Wellbeing Facebook page, you will know that those are the sort of things that inspire me. So I run my own wellness business from home, and I have done for 2.5 years. And over the years, I've come to realize that one of the biggest challenges that people face is getting off the sugar cravings roller coaster, which is why I chose this topic tonight. I used to get sugar cravings, but when I discovered which foods are the correct foods to eat, it just all made total sense. I could eat foods that kept me fuller for longer, sustained me, and I didn't get those cravings. So now I don't get cravings. And so I can choose to eat sugar and I can choose to eat chocolate, and I know that I can stop and say no more. Now, I wanted to say that I'm not a doctor or I'm not a nutritionist, but what I do is surround myself in healthcare professionals, and I'm constantly learning and listening to as much information as possible. And it totally excites me to be sharing with you what I've learned over the years, because this is what I have found works. I like to give recognition where it's due. And so a lot of my information has come from two particular people. This lady, Dr. Karen Wolfe, on the left-hand side, she's an Australian physician. She's a health coach. She's an author and international speaker. Now, she's originally from Australia, but now lives in the States, and she was a doctor when she was in Australia. However, when she moved to America, she decided that she wanted to get into the wellness industry, because doctors was about diagnosis and treatment, but it wasn't about prevention. And so that's where she spent over 20 years in the wellness area. And she's written this book, Is Your Lifestyle Killing You? The 8 Simple Steps for Lasting Weight Loss and Optimal Health. And I referenced this book a couple of times. It's a brilliant book. So if you ever had the chance to read it or get your hands on it, I really recommend it. And on the right-hand side here, we've got Dr. Libby Weaver, who many of you will be familiar with. She's Australasia's leading holistic nutritionist and has written certain books like Accidentally Overweight and Rushing Woman Syndrome. She's all about raw food, raw, whole, natural food, about how that is fueling your body. And she's written 2 cookbooks, which I absolutely love. And I also find it really nice to give a little bit of background to when speakers give a little bit of background to their family. So this is a little bit about my team that I live with. I've got 3 young children, 9, 7, and 5, Ollie, Anna, and Briar. And I like to call them, full of life, very spirited is the way that I like to call them, especially my girls are very spirited. They keep me really busy, on my toes, and this is why I do this business working from home, so I can be at the school gates to pick them up and I can still do the school trips, so I get a great balance. And my husband on the right hand side, he is a business development manager for a company called Thermosash in the commercial industry. Very, very passionate about what he does as well. Now, before we jump right into understanding about sugar cravings and why we get them and how to overcome them, we need to understand a bit about the body first. Some of you may be aware that irritation and inflammation in the body are caused by lifestyle. So I'd really love you to understand the true causes of inflammation. So what I'm going to do is build up the case, so to speak, and I'll talk about the problem, the price we pay, and then of course the solution. This is a guy called Dr. Myron Wentz, and he's the person who has kept the human cell alive in the lab for the longest time, being 20 years. Now, his experience is that we're living too short and dying too long. It shouldn't be that so many people are so young and getting degenerative diseases. And then I also heard him say that this generation, our children's generation, is the first generation that is not going to outlive their parents. When I heard that, I was just flabbergasted. That's really, really scary. So here's the thing. The price we pay for inflammation is cellular damage. And if that's the only thing you remember in terms of definitional explanation, because if you can link inflammation to cell damage, then you've understood a really important piece of the puzzle. So the more inflammation you have, the more cell damage you have. And that affects everything down to how quickly you age, how much energy you've got, how quickly you can fight infections, how well you sleep. And so what we're going to do is take a closer look into terms of lifestyle and what causes this irritation and sets off the inflammation and what we can do about it. A great statement that I heard from this lady here is called Dr. Christine Northrup, and she was interviewed on the Dr. Oz show. What is going on in your body is going on in your life. So it's no accident that we're seeing more heart disease, diabetes, cancer, food intolerances, arthritis, dementia, because of our lifestyle having an impact on our body. So we're going to look initially at the problem. Now, we get excess free radicals. I'm sure that you've all heard the term of free radicals, but actually so many people don't actually understand what it means. Free radicals are nice little critters that run around your body and they eat up all your good cells. There's many different ways that we can that we create free radicals in the body, but there's just a few that I'm going to go through tonight, which are the more important ones. So you've got poor food choices. Now, it's up to you which foods you are eating, whether they are full of preservatives, chemicals, additives. And, some foods that are sitting on a shelf for 6 months, a meal, like what additives and preservatives have they got in them, and what is that doing to your body? So being aware of what food choices you're making. Lack of physical activity. Today's lifestyle is so sedentary because there's people are just working and sitting at jobs. It's really important to be getting out there and doing exercise. And even if you can't get out, it's taking the stairs, it's parking further away from the office, it's even sitting on a Swiss ball, at the office as an alternative to a chair. Stress is a huge free radical loader. And it's something, we live such a fast-paced lifestyle, especially in the city. We've got sleep deprivation. So many people are unaware of how sleep deprivation affects inflammation. It's really important to be getting the 8 hours of sleep a night and be getting to bed by 11 o'clock so you can have that deep sleep. Sleep deprivation causes sugar cravings, lack of energy, and so it's so important. We've got poor nutrient intake. Similar to poor food choices, I'm getting a little tongue-tied on that, but poor nutrient intake is, what actual foods are you eating? Are they full of antioxidants and fruit and veggies and really good food, or is it more processed food? But we'll go into that in a moment. Excess sugar and insulin. This is all what we're about, but excess sugar, having too much sugar in your diet, which therefore causes more insulin, causes inflammation. But we're obviously going to cover that in way more depth. Digestive stress. If your gut isn't working properly, then you're not going to be able to absorb the nutrients from your body, from your food, and from your cellular nutrition if you're having it. 80% of your immune system is located in the gut. So if your gut isn't full of healthy bacteria, then it won't be able to digest the nutrients. So that's why it's really important to take a probiotic to replace that healthy bacteria in the digestive system. So if you have been on lots of medication or you've been on antibiotics, it's really important to take a probiotic because antibiotics wipe out that good bacteria. So you might find that you're lacking so much energy and nutrition because your gut is all out of balance. And also 90% of your serotonin, which is your feel-good hormone, is made in the digestive system. So another really important reason to make sure that your gut is balanced, health is balanced. Environmental toxins. This is what we call our toxic load, and it comes down to what products you are using. Do you know on a daily basis, a woman will put on an average of 200 chemicals onto her skin through skincare, through makeup, through hair products, body products, moisturizers, deodorants. And so it's really important to just be aware that those products are paraben free and nasty chemical free, because then it's going to reduce that toxic overload. And also looking at your cleaning products. Are they environmentally safe? And then lastly, isolation. Isolation is often one that is forgotten, but it's actually really important. More and more people are working from home, they're in jobs, they're like working long hours, so they're not having that time to get together with friends and have that social interaction. Isolation is also linked to depression and your serotonin levels. Because if you catch up with someone, then you feel good. You feel really good about yourself. So making sure that you're keeping that social interaction, as part of your day. Now, as I say, there are a lot more that we could be talking about, but these are really important, the most important ones. So just have a think. What are your stress levels like? How much physical activity are you getting into your diet, into your body? What's your digestive stress like? And what's your digestive system like? So now we're going to look at the price we pay. And you'll see that the arrows are going the other way. So many, no matter how much money the government is putting into research, these rates, these degenerative disease rates are not coming down. So I'm sure we all know of people who have been affected by one of these degenerative diseases. So cancers, heart disease, Alzheimer's, obesity, stroke, diabetes, which is huge, neurological diseases. And do you know 7 out of 10 people are dealing with some sort of degenerative disease? That's astounding, 7 out of 10 people. And it all comes down to lifestyle choices. So in summary, our lifestyle that we are leading causes chronic cellular stress at that cellular level, which then causes low-grade inflammation. Okay, so if you can really get your head around that, it's the cellular stress which then causes the inflammation. So what can you do about it? The thing that I love about what Dr. Karen Wolf has done is she has created a 8-step healthy lifestyle solution wheel that, from her experience, this is the 8 areas that are the most important that we need to look at. So it's the food plan, it's physical activity, sleep, stress management, high quality supplementation, digestive health, detoxification, support systems. Now, obviously, we don't have time to go through all of these tonight. So there's a few, 3 or 4 that we're really going to focus on. But the first place that I like to start is the food plan, because I find it's the easiest and it's where the people can get more results. So it's understanding about the food plan and glycemic stress. Now, I'm sure that you have heard of glycemic stress, but do we actually know what it means? Glycemic stress is caused by eating lots of high glycemic foods, which is pretty much the standard Western diet. Glycemic stress creates inflammation, which creates toxic waste. And we're seeing that toxic waste, which is around that midline area. And so that's where we're putting on the weight. For those of you that aren't familiar with glycemic foods and the glycemic rating, I'm just going to give you a bit of an understanding behind it so that when I go into the glycemic roller coaster, you'll understand what foods I'm talking about. All foods, or most foods, have a glycemic rating. Sometimes I will shorten it to GI, low GI, medium, because that's your glycemic index. Now, foods that are high GI foods are 70 points and above. So foods have got a rating from 0 to 100. Medium GI foods are 55 to 69, and then low GI foods are 55 and below. So what we are really wanting to focus on is low GI foods, because those are the foods that sustain us and keep us fuller for longer. What are the high GI foods? You've got sugar, you've got lollies, ice cream, biscuits, muffins, cakes, white flour, white rice, white tortillas, all those things that are made highly processed and they're made out of white. So they've actually had the fiber removed from them. Most breads are high GI. And apart from the fact, if they state the more grainy the breads are, then the lower GI they are going to be. Vogels are low GI, and a lot of breads are coming out saying, they're having the GI rating on them. Most cereals. Now, I have yet to find a cereal on the supermarket shelf that ticks the box of being low in sugar, low in fat, but gives you energy. Highly processed foods. The more processed the foods are, the higher the GI value they are. So like cereals, you're better off to be eating rolled oats, which we'll go through in a moment, or making, a really good muesli full of nuts and seeds and rolled oats and other really good ingredients that keep you sustained. Now, potatoes get a bad rap. Yes, they are high GI, but if you leave the skin on them, then that becomes a lower GI, because if you take the skin off them, that's removing the fiber, which is making it easier for your body to digest. So the fiber is where all the nutrients are, and that's the same with most other vegetables. Leave the skin on, and then they will be a lower GI value. Potatoes, if you can lower the GI value of a meal. If you have potatoes, then have a vegetable that's really low GI, and that will bring that GI value down of the potatoes. So instant foods, you've got your rolled oats, instant rolled oats. They've been processed. They are processed to make them cook fast. So therefore, they are not going to sustain you, and they're going to shoot up your blood sugar levels. So have original rolled oats that take a while to cook, and fruit juices. Now, I'm not a fan of fruit juices because they are just concentrated sugar, and I'd much rather that people eat a piece of fruit. So I do not want you to be obsessed over the GI values, because people can get really hooked up on it, no carbs, no protein, this and that. And I just want you to have a general understanding of what the foods are that are in each category. So I'll just go through these really quickly. You've got white bread, bagel, French baguette, which are all really high. Now, pretzels is an interesting one because packaging and marketing says that they're 99% fat-free, yet they are full of processed white flour. So they've got a high GI value. So they don't sustain your kids, and they're not a nutritious snack. So I used to give my kids pretzels until I learnt this, and then they're out the door. And then we've got cornflakes, Wheat Bix, instant white rice, potatoes. Watermelon is actually very high because of the sugar content. Now, looking over at the green column, You've got your grainy breads, your wheat tortillas, your heavy mixed grain. You've got your rolled oats and your natural muesli. Looking down at the staples, your bulgur wheat, brown rice. So brown rice has obviously got the husk on it, so it's going to take longer for your body to process it, so it's going to keep you fuller for longer. Quinoa, a wonderful, wonderful nutritious grain. It's very high in protein. It's an ancient South American grain, and I cook a lot with it actually instead of rice. And then you've got all your vegetables there on the left-hand side. Looking at your fruit, it's interesting. Banana unripe has got a GI value of 51, yet a ripe banana has got a GI value of 62. So I'm not telling you to eat a green banana, but just verge on it being more unripe than ripe. If you're wanting to find out the glycemic index of foods, you can go onto this website on the right-hand side here, and you can type in a particular food and it'll give you that rating. Or if you just want to Google glycemic index of foods, you'll come up with that Health Harvard EDU website. Now, the link was massively too long for me to put it on there, but then it has a great, I find that's the best website to get a great list of foods. So I'd like to delve more into detail with the food and the glycemic roller coaster, because if we understand glycemic stress, we're more likely to choose foods that are better for us. So looking at the glycemic roller coaster, if you can understand this, it can be a real game changer. The reason I focus on sugar is that sugar is everywhere. Cancer loves sugar. Arthritis loves sugar. Inflammation loves sugar, and making slightly different choices can make a big impact. So I'll give you the example of a typical breakfast, you having a glass of orange juice and toast. Now, my husband used to always have a glass of orange juice for breakfast. This is actually before we met. And he used to always be tired. And I didn't even know, it was when we started seeing each other, and I didn't know what I know now. And it just all makes so much sense that that was what was causing him to be tired. So the body loves to have our blood sugar levels in an ideal range, which is this blue level. Because in that ideal range, we can think clearly. We sleep well, our joints don't hurt, we don't get the ups and downs of our moods, and we make more controlled food choices. So what happens when you have orange juice and toast for breakfast, for example? Up goes the blood sugar into the red zone. And when the blood sugar rises above the ideal range, the hormone insulin comes out. I'm sure many of you have heard of insulin and cortisol, but actually understanding what they do. So insulin comes out. So the higher the blood sugar is, the more insulin that is popped out. Now, insulin is a fat storage hormone, and the role of insulin is to get the blood sugar levels down. So down it goes. But when it goes down lower than the ideal level of the body thinks it's under stress, and the hormone cortisol is released. Now, cortisol is a stress hormone, and it does everything it can to try and keep the body regulated so it increases the blood sugar back up again. But cortisol is also a fat storage hormone. And this is the standard Western diet. Up in the red, high blood sugar levels and high insulin, and then down in the bottom, you're in the red in the high cortisol levels. Now, to give you an example of how this will happen, and this might work in a daily environment. So say your child has Nutrigrain or cornflakes or rice bubbles for breakfast. So they get an instant hit of energy, of sugar released into the bloodstream. By 10, so that's the first roller coaster. By 10 o'clock, they're starving because it's empty, non-nutritious food. So their blood sugar levels drop well down below that normal blood sugar level, the blue zone, and down into the red zone. And so their body goes into stress where cortisol is released. And then they're so hungry, so they grab a biscuit or they might grab an orange juice, and they get that instant pick up again. So they go back up. And then they get hungry again. So then it gets to lunchtime and they might have a white bread sandwich and some pretzels or a packet of chips or, those little rice wheel things. And then so that'll shoot them back up again. But if you think about this carries on throughout the day, up and down and up and down. And being on this uncontrollable roller coaster, their concentration levels are not working. They're hungry, they're irritable, and if you can see this happening on a day-to-day basis, week to week, month to month, this is what leads to obesity and then type 2 diabetes. Now, type 2 diabetes used to be called an adult onset diabetes. We didn't see it happening in kids. So in the 1980s, 2% of type 2 diabetes was aged between 9 and 19. By the year of 2000, 30 to 50% of type 2 diabetes was in children. And then by the age of 2010, 70% was in children. And do you know that children born since the year 2000, 1 in 3 of them will be diabetic? And that is all to do with lifestyle and food choices and exercise. So my passion is educating people on this, because if we can start at the ground roots with our children, then that's going to go up toward, through their lifestyle and through their generations. So we want to be in that normal blood sugar level. The worst thing that you can do is not to have breakfast at all. The best thing is to be having breakfast an hour after you've woken up, because you want to break that fast after sleeping at night. But what some people do is they get up, they have a coffee, which sends them, they think that they're burning fuel and that they're burning energy, but what it does is it sends the body into stress, which your stress hormone is cortisol. So cortisol is released, which is a fat storage hormone. So it's not going to use your fat source as a energy source. It's going to hold on to it because it thinks it's its last meal. And that's what happens if you don't have breakfast as well. Your body goes into stress. So, and then you can't release the weight. So the biggest game changer for some people is actually having breakfast. So then it kickstarts your metabolism for the day, so that you're set off in that normal blood sugar level, providing what you're feeding your body. So stable blood sugar is the answer. Our brain, people say to me, I'm going off carbs. I don't need carbs. But our brain actually our brain and body needs carbs. So our goal from the food that we eat is that we need to have carbs, because carbs create the energy for the body. It's the spiking of the blood sugar levels and the insulin that creates the inflammation. And we need to get rid of this notion that carbs are bad. It's the kind and the amount that matters. People are using food like a drug and not even feeling it, and are literally asleep at the meal. Food should fuel you, and if it doesn't give you energy and make you feel good, then don't eat it. Excess bloating and gas isn't normal. Reflux, nausea, stomach cramps, and headaches aren't normal. And feeling really tired after a meal isn't normal. Food should fuel you, and it should make you feel good and give you energy. So I like to give these examples that food that we should be eating is real food, alive food, food that goes off, food that goes brown. Because if you've got bananas or apples, for example, and it goes off, it means that it's alive and they're oxidizing. So foods like cornflakes and McDonald's cheeseburgers, do they actually go brown? Do donuts go brown? So are they actually giving you that nutrition? So no, they're not. I mean, cornflakes have got a shelf life of over 2 years. So we need to really be looking at real food and food that's going to give us energy. So hopefully you can see what my point is, that if something's real and alive, and when we eat it, it's going to give us energy and fuel us. It's going to help us at that cellular level. Then that's what we're designed to eat. If something is what I call dead food, so it never goes off, it's probably not good for you. Like many other addiction, the most important thing to get is firstly be aware of it. And this is an awesome food sensitivity questionnaire, which was originally from Kathleen DeMason's book called Potatoes Not Prozac. I'm reading it at the moment. It's actually really, really interesting. And it really opens your mind up to sugar cravings and sugar sensitivity. And I find it really helpful when I'm talking with clients to see whether they've got food, sugar sensitivity. You may have seen this questionnaire in my newsletter a couple of weeks ago. The more ticks in the questionnaire, the more likely you are to be sugar sensitive, which means that you've got this biochemistry that has a big impact on the way your body responds to sugar, which means your reaction to sugar is higher than someone who doesn't have sugar sensitivity. So if you're someone who's got food sensitivity, it's going to shoot up your blood sugar levels faster, and you're going to be on more of a roller coaster. So we'll go through this questionnaire now and just see if, how many you tick. I really like sweet foods. I eat lots of lollies. I'm very fond of bread, cereal, popcorn, and or pasta. Mm-hmm. So do you crave breads and cereals? And after dinner, do you like to sit down to a bowl of popcorn? I now have or once had a problem with alcohol or drugs. One or both of my parents were alcoholics. Or one or both of my parents were especially fond of sugar. The reason why they link alcoholics and sugar is that when people are trying to come off alcohol, they'll often replace that with sugar because it has the same addictive qualities. I'm overweight and don't seem to be able to easily lose the extra kilos. I mean, I've heard people say I'm exercising and I just can't seem to lose the weight. But what they don't realize is that they've got to change their eating as well. So it really does come down to knowing the right foods to eat. I continue to be depressed no matter what I do. I often find myself overreacting to stress. And I have a history of anger that sometimes even surprises me. So this just gives you some indication that it's not quite as simple as just stopping eating sugar or high GI foods, as some of us have a biochemical addiction to sugar. So I have a solution to this because I really want to make it really simple, as I know what we've been through tonight can appear quite difficult and a lot of changes. I'm a big believer in baby steps, and if I told you to start exercising, change your food, make sure you get some more sleep, change all your environmental toxins that you're using, change your digestive eating, then you go, can't do, too hard. So it's got to, and I wouldn't expect you to do that because it's just going to set you up to fail. So it's just starting with making one change. And that's where I find the food plan is the best place because it can be a real game changer. So within the food plan that I'm about to show you, it boosts serotonin levels, which is that feel-good hormone. It reduces sugar cravings and it decreases inflammation. And they're all de-stressors of the body. So this is where I created the Sugar beFree program, because I found that people needed something simple. And as I said before, most people are on a sugar cravings roller coaster. So this is something that you don't need to do. If you feel that you can do it on your own, then that's absolutely awesome. However, what it is it's a bridge from where we're at now on the Western diet to get into whole foods, whole raw foods, low GI, where you're going to get that balanced blood sugar levels. So the plan or the program is made up of 4 components: low glycemic foods, exercise, cellular supplementation, and lifestyle support. So what we do is we begin with a 5-day sugar detox. Now, as I say, it's not, you don't have to start here, but it's where I find that people get the best results, and it just really bridges that gap. And it's super simple. It's 5 days. Anybody can do anything for 5 days. It's not a diet. It's because diets do not work. We all know that. I'm sure we've all been on a diet and lost that weight, but then yet turned around and put it back on. So what this does is it teaches lifestyle change. And that's what it's all about. It's coming from this side of the bridge to the other side. It's not about deprivation and starvation, because there's nothing worse than telling your body that you're going on a diet and your body just craves all those foods that you can't have, that you're telling. So that's why we often put on weight more, because when we come off it, we just binge on those foods. But it focuses on feeding the body the right nutrition. So how will you benefit from this 5 days? You will learn a low glycemic lifestyle. You will increase your energy levels because you're feeding your body the nutrients that it needs. The program is made up of low GI carbs, your proteins, your fiber, and your essential fatty acids. So it's nutritionally balanced. You learn about portion control, because if you're eating every couple of hours, then your body isn't going to be going into that stress and starvation point. So it's going to access your fat, as your energy, as your glucose source. So it's going to be burning that fat. You're going to be sleeping more restfully while your body is detoxifying. You're going to stabilize that blood sugar levels. So as a result of that, a side effect of that is that you're going to release weight, and the average weight loss is 2 to 4 kgs. And so you're also going to reset your metabolism. So all of these things, like I've done this program three or four times, and I cannot rave enough about how amazing you feel afterwards. Your body craves healthy, nutritious food. Whereas it's getting you off that sugar cravings roller coaster. Try and say that fast. So when do I use it? For what clients do I use it for? If someone wants a sugar detox, so like what we're talking about tonight, so they want to stop sugar cravings. If people want to release weight, if they want to reduce stress, so they're in a really stressful period in their life, and they just want a week, 5 days where they don't have to think about what they're eating or think about what they're not eating. So it's a no-brainer. It's completely guided, or of a general detox, which is what I do it for. Every couple of, every 6 months, I just do a detox, cleanse out my toxins so that my body is reset and a balanced metabolism. It's all good and well for me to say, how amazing this program is, and obviously I'm a little bit biased. So I always bring in other people's testimonials of how they've found it. So this is from Anne Perini, and she did the program about a month ago. So I'd just like to read you what she said. I started the 5-day sugar cleanse after reading about it online and linked into something Wick Nixon wrote on Facebook. All in the name of huge interest around health and well-being, Wick was obviously on similar sites, pages of interest as myself. Weight has always been a challenge for me, and I, like many others, beat myself up constantly about my lack of willpower and ability to stick to a program of some sort. I think that's a female thing. You know, we are so harsh on ourselves. For a while now, I've thought I could do this on my own, but I've appreciated the structure and the support around the Reset program. Initially, I didn't want to be involved in a program that cost money and replaced meals, as I was hesitant about the realistic value of this sort of thing for me in my life. However, I decided to investigate further and was assisted greatly by Wick in this decision-making process. I've just finished the 5-day reset and it has been amazing. I can say the following. I wasn't hungry. The shakes and snacks are very tasty. I had no major side effects from coming off coffee. Unbelievable. And I think Anne used to drink about 3 or 4 cups of coffee a day. I loved the 1 piece of fruit and 1 serve of veggies per day. The daily support from Wick was wonderful. I could contact Wick if I needed, and I lost over 2 kgs in the 5 days. I'm realistic about the next phase and gradually bringing real food back to my routine, but I'm looking forward to it and the support from Wick. Now, I support people on a daily basis if they want me to, but then I have other people who have done this program who I've touched base, a couple of times per week. So it's completely up to you what sort of support that you want. And here's another one from Angela and Ben McCall. The reset we did was just invaluable for my husband and I. I'll just move this over. We felt great. We felt just great after the 5 days. We were so thrilled we actually lasted the 5 days. So a great sense of achievement, and not to mention the weight loss was inspiring. We both learned that it's possible to change our unhealthy eating habits with the right substitutes. I have major sugar cravings usually, but last week, while on the reset, I had none. So it proved that if I can get the balance right with a low GI diet, I will be able to get rid of my cravings long term, which has always been a goal. We enjoyed the shakes and bars, and it was an added bonus not having to cook dinner. Wick was so helpful and supportive throughout the whole week, and we can't speak highly enough of her and the product. So it's always really nice to hear from others, and I've got other testimonials if anyone is interested in reading those. So what's included? You get the 5-day sugar cleanse resources. So that's all inclusive, your meals for 5 days. Apart from your serving of fresh vegetables, you can actually eat as many vegetables as possible, apart from potatoes and corn, and there's one other vegetable, but it's just slipped my mind. But otherwise, you can just eat as many vegetables as you want to, because it's, as I say, it's not about starvation and deprivation. It's about feeding your body the right nutritional ingredients. You get a Getting Started guidebook, and this explains the kit in detail, what to do before you begin, how to get prepared, how to get the most out of the 5 days, and what to do after the 5 days, and then some frequently asked questions. Now, the 4 coaching support sessions, I believe that this is the key. They are with Dr. Karen Wolf and Dr. Deb Kern, who discuss. So I've teamed up with these 2 doctors in the States, and they have got a support program where they run these coaching support audios where they discuss about sugar sensitivity. They discuss about the glycemic index, food and mood. They go more into exercise and serotonin levels and serotonin enhancing food. So you work out what foods are the right foods to be eating, how to shop for the low glycemic foods, food preparation for a busy household, what to eat when you go out, because let's face it, this is a lifestyle change. So it needs to be able to be integrated into what you're doing in your family. And do you know what I love the most is when I take people through this, is that I hear that it's changed the whole lifestyle of their family, not just that person, it's their whole family that has turned it around. And that's what provides these coaching sessions, provide that ongoing learning for the ongoing success. Now you get meal planning, because my absolute passion is cooking, and the way I eat is all low glycemic. So every snack, apart from the odd treats, but I'm always thinking I need to be adding carbohydrates and protein together into a meal, because that's what's going to sustain you and give you that energy. your meals need to be a quarter protein, a quarter carbohydrates, and then half of your plate needs to be raw vegetables and salads. So then I offer the recipes that I'm very passionate about. You get additional lifestyle handouts, which might be on why exercise is so important, your body transformation, the power of positive thinking, what you do when you're eating out. And then there's a private Facebook group support group too, that because it's always really good to do this with a group so everyone knows that you're all on the same page. So these are some example of the recipes that I do and the additional handouts. Now, I always encourage, if this program is something that appeals to you, is do it with a buddy. And I love this pic, it's so cute. Is to do it with a buddy. A buddy keeps you accountable. And even better is to do it with someone in the same house as you. Because for one thing, you don't need to cook. You might only have to cook for the kids. It makes it more fun if you're both doing it together. And if at some stage you're just like, oh, I just want to crunch into something or have a biscuit or have a muffin, the other person goes, look, it's only 5 days. You can, it's something you can easily do. So they keep you on track. And then looking at that lifestyle support, it's doing it as part of a group and as a wider community, which makes it more fun. You know that other people are going through the same things as you. And I've supported so many people on this reset program. Now, exercise. I said that there were 4 components: glycemic foods, exercise, supplementation, and lifestyle support. So we've covered the lifestyle support, we've covered the glycemic, low glycemic foods, and exercise. The reason exercise is so important is because it improves insulin sensitivity. And we have these things called insulin receptors on the muscles. So the more we work the muscle, the more these receptors work better. So if you are increasing the size of your muscle, there's more space for the insulin receptors. So that's why it's so important, especially as we get older. So like over 30, it's really important to be including resistance training in your workout program. And the other amazing thing about exercise, it is one of the best antidepressants around. It's a natural serotonin booster. So there's nothing better than getting outside on a sunny day and going for a walk. Or I love going to the gym first thing in the morning because it sets me up for the day. And I have, boosted that serotonin levels so that I actually achieve more during my day than days that I haven't gone to the gym. So I know that it's really hard if you work in an office to get exercise. I don't mean that you need to be doing 30 minutes high impact. It's just getting it in there whenever you can. One thing that I loved was that I went and saw my beauty therapist the other day, and somehow we got on to exercise, and she's in with clients all the time, but whenever she's got downtime, she's down on the ground, she's doing ab exercises, she's doing burpees and the stair running machine, and just getting down there and doing what she can. And I love that. And then the final part is the high quality supplementation. So supplementation is a really important part because it reduces inflammation in the body. And what that does is it counteracts that free radical damage that we are doing, that we're getting from all of those areas of inflammation that we talked about at the beginning. It provides us with nutrients that we can't get out of food anymore. So many people think that our food is full of nutrients, but I just want to explain that one orange 20 to 30 years ago has got the same nutritional value as 8 oranges today. Now, the reason for that is that our soils have got no nutritional value in them anymore. You may have heard that they're depleted in magnesium and vitamin D, and there's so many different, the vitamin D isn't in the soils, it's in the sun. But the soils are depleted of nutrients. What used to happen was that the farmers would plant their crops, the fruit would be left on the vine to ripen, and all the nutritional value is underneath the skin, ripened by the sun. And that's where all the antioxidants are. Then they would pick them, they would work all the roots and the vines and the leaves back into the soil. They would let the soil sit and replenish. But what's happening now is that because they want so many crops planted quickly, they are picking the fruit ripen early, they're putting it in a cool store, they're spraying it to ripen. It might be sitting in the cool store for 6 months and then it comes out onto the shelf. And then we bring it home and we mash it, we bake it, we roast it, we do whatever we do to it, and then we put it on our plate and think that it's got the same nutritional value. So unfortunately, it's not what it used to be. So that's why we need to be supplementing to get all those nutrients in so that our cells can renew and regenerate at optimal levels. They also increase the energy levels. So I hope that you can see how lifestyle plays a huge impact on inflammation and what foods we feed our body, how they can cause sugar cravings, and what we can do about them. And it's not only about calories in and calories out. It's not that simple. There are so many other factors that we need to consider. And I could do a webinar on all the different ones that we discussed tonight, but it's, as I said, baby steps. Start with one or two things that you feel is achievable. And that is the food plan, exercise, cellular supplement, and cellular supplementation, which is a great place to start. So just to finish off, I want to go over the details of the Sugar beFree program again so that it's clear what it's all about, how you will feel afterwards, and then I'll go through some costs, and you'll be really surprised at how economical it is. So what you will do is being a part of the Sugar beFree program, so you will reduce sugar cravings so that you crave healthy food. You will learn portion control because you are eating regular snacks. You're eating breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner, snack. And so I was actually surprised about how much food you actually had to eat. You will increase your energy levels. You'll learn a low glycemic lifestyle. And after tonight, you can see that low glycemic and low GI foods are the way to go. As I said, you'll get a more restful sleep while your body is detoxifying. You'll receive ongoing support for your lifestyle changes, which is through those audio sessions and personal coaching from me. I am in touch with every client that I have on the Reset program because I know that support is the key. And your average weight loss is 2 to 4 kgs in 5 days. So just to go over again what's included, you get that 5-day sugar clean resources, all inclusive, apart from your veggies and the fruit, because we won't want to put them into a bag. We want them to be fresh as possible. But you're drinking loads of water. So you're getting rid of those toxins. You get the Getting Started guidebook, the coaching support sessions, the meal planning, the low glycemic recipe sheets, the additional additional lifestyle handouts, and the private Facebook group support. So normally priced at a value of $275, I am starting a program on the 8th of September where I'm taking a group of 15 people through this Sugar beFree program. And for tonight, I'm offering it to you for just $115. So if you think about it, it's all your food for 5 days. So it's one way of looking at it is redirecting your spending, so that you're not spending it on the food and lunches that you buy at work. It's just all in that $115. So this offer is only valid tonight or until the webinar replay ends, which will be at 9:30 on Thursday the 21st, all while places last. And I've got a limit of 15 people that I'm taking that through. And I'm sitting around the 8 or 9 people mark. So it is a great opportunity to come on board and having that awesome support. So to secure your place, you need to email me on wick@clear.net.nz. So that's WICK at clear, CLEAR, .net.nz, or text me on 021 470 974, and then I'll call you back. And if you've got any questions on it, just email me or text me and I can call you, and then we can hopefully get you started. So I'd really like to thank you so much for coming online tonight, and hopefully you've been able to take something away that's a new insight. And please, if you've had any aha moments, please share them with others and on your Facebook pages, because this is what it's all about for me. It's sharing the knowledge and sharing the experiences so that other people know how to lead a healthy life to fuel their body. Have a lovely rest of your evening. And if you've got, as I say, if you've got any questions, email me and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And hopefully you're keen to join us on the challenge. Remember, anybody can do anything for 5 days, and trust me, it is totally worth it. Okay, good night.